So guys, now I have this ironed. As I said, this is towards the lining and this is towards the bodies. Okay, then I flip this over to the wrong side, that is the lining, and this is what I have after flipping. Then I gave it a good press as well, and I ironed out my lapel, and this is what I have for the lapel. So the next step is to join the center back together. That is for the back panel. So here is the back panel, and this is the center back. Now I will be placing the center back right side facing each other, and I will stitch with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Can you see what I have? Now I have the center back joined together, and the next step is to open up the seam allowance like so, and I will give it a good press. When you are constructing a jacket, you must be very close to your ironing table. Okay, so this is very important. I will open this up, give it a good press, and I will be back to show you the next step. So guys, now that I have my seam allowance ironed, as you can see, it is opened. Then the next step is to join the front and the back panel together. In doing this, I will open up my bodies like so, and I will come to the shoulder line and the neckline area. This is the shoulder line on the lining, and this is the neckline area. That's the back neckline, and this is the shoulder line for the main bodies, and also this as well. And what I have at the center, at the middle of both shoulder lines, is the neckline. Okay, so here are the angles I will be working on. This angle, that is the midpoint for the neckline and the shoulder line. I have one here and I have one here. Also on the lining, I have the same thing. You can see what I have. So this is an angle. I drew a straight line like so. Then from here to here is my seam allowance of 1/2 inch. From here to here as well, my seam allowance of 1/2 inch. Then I connected the seam allowance downward to meet this line, and I have it like so. So now I will be stitching along the shape I have on the lining. You can see where I have this shape like so. On the other side, I will stitch and stop here. Then on the main bodies, I will be applying the same method. Then on the fourth angle, I will apply the same method. So when I get to this point, I will stop, then lift my presser foot and turn my fabric. Okay, as you can see, I did not lock my stitches because I will still be stitching along this area. Now I'm repeating the same process on the other side. So guys, now I've stitched the 4 points I have on my jacket. This is point 1, point 2, point 3, and point 4. Okay, so now it's time to join the front and the back together. So now I will be joining the front and the back together, right side facing the right side, fabric to fabric and lining to lining. This is going together with this is a lining, and the main fabric is going together with the main fabric. Okay, so now I'll be constructing the lining first. I cut out upper part of the back panel as fabric and the lower part as lining. So now I will be joining the two together. So this is the right side of my lining and this is the wrong side of my lining. This is the right side of my fabric and this is the wrong side of my fabric. Now I will be positioning my lining and the fabric like so, right side facing the right side. okay, and I will stitch with half of an inch seam allowance. And here is the second piece. I will be joining this as well, right side facing the right side, with half of an inch seam allowance. So now I will be joining the second piece as well. Now that I have this joined together, the next step is to join the center together like so. So I will open up my seam allowance, I will give it a press, then I will make sure the seam allowance points matches properly, and I will secure it with my sewing pin. Now I will be joining the remaining parts together. So guys, now I have the lining for the back panel joined together. As you can see what I have. So this is the wrong side and this is the right side. So now I will take this to my ironing board and open up the seam allowance. So all the seam allowances I have here will be opened up, and I will give it a good press. So guys, now I've opened up my seam allowances. As you can see, this is what I have at the wrong side and this is what I have at the right side. Now the next step is to join the back bodies and the front bodies together. So now I will be joining the front and the back together, fabrics to fabrics and lining to lining. So this is the bodies for the front. So this is the bodies for the front and this is the bodies for the back. Now I will be joining the front and the back bodies together, following the shape I have around the neckline and the shoulder line. As I said earlier, here is the shoulder line, this is the shoulder line, and what I have at the middle is the neckline. Okay, so now I'll be placing notches on this point, the 4 points I marked out earlier. So this is the first notch. So this notching is about half of an inch, and here as well about half of an inch. So here as well I will notch it about half of an inch like so. You can see what I have. Then at the fourth side I will notch as well. So with this I can go ahead and join the front and the back bodies together. This is the bodies to bodies and lining to lining, and I will start with the lining side. So here is the back panel. You can see what I have, the shoulder lines and the neckline. Okay, now I will be aligning this shoulder line to shoulder line. Can you see what I have? I will align this like so, and I'll pin them together. Now I will be stitching with half of an inch seam allowance from one shoulder point to another. So this is the second shoulder point, from this point all the way around to the neckline area, then to the other shoulder point. So I will stitch, then when I get to this point, this notch point, I will stop. Okay, then I will lift my presser foot, then turn my fabric like so. So guys, now I'm done with fixing of the lining side. As you can see, so this is what I have at the right side and this is what I have at the wrong side. I stitched from one shoulder line to another and I have the neckline at the middle. So you can see I follow the shape I have on my fabric. That was how I stitched this together. And now I will be applying the same process on the fabric. I will be joining the front and the back together. So here is the back for the back panel, and this is the front for the front panel. Okay, so I will hold this like so, and I will pin all around. After pinning, I will stitch with 1/2 inch seam allowance from one shoulder point to another. So guys, now I have the two sides stitched. Okay, so this is the lining side, this is a lining for the back panel, and this is the bodice for the back panel. You can see the bodice. So this is the part I stitched from here. This is the shoulder point, okay, like so. This is the neckline for the back. You can see what I have. Then I stitch all the way around like so to the other side of the shoulder point, and I have this for the lining. And for the main bodies, this is what I have. I stitch from here like so to this point. Then the neckline area, I stitched it as well. Then I turn it over and move to the other side of the shoulder point. So this is what I was showing you that I will stitch. So with this, I've joined the front and the back panels together, the fabric to fabric and the lining to lining. So guys, after joining the front and the back panels together, the next step is to open up the seam allowances and give it a very good press. As I said earlier, when you are constructing a jacket, you must be very close to your ironing table. So now I will be opening up the seam allowance I have on the shoulder line, then on the neckline, and the other side of the shoulder line. Also on the lining, I will open up the seam allowances, then I will give it a good press in order to make it flat. So I'll be doing this and I'll be back to show you the final step. So guys, now I have this done. So the last step is to hold the back and the front together. Okay, this is the fabric and this is the lining. So now I will be taking this from my notch point. Here is my notch point and the notch point on the fabric as well. You can see what I have. So I'll hold it together like so, center to center, notch point to the notch point. Here is the notch point and this is another notch point. I will hold the seam allowance together like so, and I will stitch from one notch point to another. So I'm stitching around the back neckline. This is to hold the neckline in place. As you can see, they are not together. Okay, so this is to join them together and to stabilize the neckline area. So I'm holding the seam allowance for the fabric and for the lining together. So guys, now I'm done with the construction of a shawl collar. As you can see, this is what I have for my shawl collar. So I will take this to my ironing board, I will give it a final press, and I'll put this on my mannequin for you guys to see the results. So guys, this is the final look of a shawl collar jacket. As you can see, this is looking neat and beautiful. Thanks so much for watching this episode of our blazer jacket series. Let's meet in the next episode where we shall continue from where we stopped. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for regular notifications so that you won't miss any parts of my subsequent videos. See you later, and always do remember, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs.